Thank God it's Friday. Well, what you're just about to watch, it may confuse you a little bit because I looked a little younger. Yes, because I'm just about to share Thank God it's Friday 2024. This is a series that every Friday shows you the activities here at Salento with Love, or probably the run around that I take place in my life on a weekly basis with many beautiful things happening. But this is 2024, remember. So whenever you are leaving a comment, remember that we are back in 2024. If you'd like to subscribe to the 2025, well then do that by subscribing to the Thank God it's Friday 2025. And also, when you're visiting Puglia, come stop here by the office and one of these fabulous books will be waiting for you together with a lot of other things. So enjoy Thank God it's Friday 2024, become a subscriber of Thank God it's Friday 2025 and have a fantastic weekend. I also love my Saturdays because I call them the freestyle day. So today, come to see the maestro. Carlo, buongiorno. Buongiorno. Fantastic work. Also this doors which have been, well, they had layers and layers and layers of paint. They've been stripped, sandblasted to bring them to this finish. We're now discussing some old vintage handles and locks. Come andiamo di qua? Here it's where the spraying happens. Oof, wow, the smell, bello potente, eh? These are the doors for Corso Re d'Italia. So many. Been working for 3 months now to get all this body of work together. Step out, but isn't it incredible the level of work that goes into making doors and windows in wood using the old traditional method. So really starting from a solid piece of wood which needs to be cut, shaped, all the calculations all done by one maestro with over 55, 60 years worth of experience. He's 75. I just find it is amazing. And then the combination of having in-house the sun, that it's such an incredible eye for color and finishing. So you just join the two things together so it stays in, so it doesn't get manufactured here and then sprayed and painted somewhere else. So I always find that when these things come together, the synergy creates, it always creates a perfect finish. And it's Monday morning, fresh, I must say. I would like this week to be different. We're only on the third, I think, episode of Thank God it's Friday, and it'd be nice to try to make it useful wherever you are purchasing, refurbishing, or anything you're doing. This morning we're here, and just the last few little things happening here at Grotto Gasper. Eccolo, buongiorno, good morning. Today we need to connect this. Quindi qui la strip LED, invece di fissarla al mobile, la fissiamo sulla parete, così che la luce la facciamo andare verso l'alto. E poi erano rimaste solamente le cose qua dentro sui lati delle pulsantiere, quindi le pulsantiere qua. Da qui comandiamo solamente la striscia LED. It's incredible when you get to the stage that you've been working for 13 months and it's just those fine details. Even harder actually, this particular case, because new owners are actually here, they're renting the property, so they can't wait to get in. So these things, they need to be finalized, although we're waiting for the gas company to connect. So a very important thing actually, if you are doing a new house and you need new electrics supply to the house, new water supply to the house, new gas supply to the house. Even with the level of experience that we've built over the years, there is always a surprise somewhere. So you may want to start the process months and months and months ahead, even if that costs you a little more perhaps, because you're going to be paying for a utility for a few more months. But yeah,
Very, very important. And very important to have somebody to help you through the process, because there's going to be probably loads of phone calls and... here we are, we have arrived. Mississippi will love only a few minutes around the corner. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Just before I leave here, probably a different school of thoughts. If you are elevated from the ground and there isn't too much dump or rising dump, which is pretty common in these houses that were built hundreds of years ago, in this particular case, then it is a great way really to, after the wall has been cut and chased and you have all these wounds, then it is the perfect way really to achieve a very super fine surface. Also a surface that isolates you a little bit from the wall that potentially is always cold and insulates the house a little more. So different school of thoughts, because obviously in some cases maybe plastering, it's also the other option, and you may see some of the wounds when the light shines on it unless you act the plaster off and replaster everything. So in this particular case, really, or if you are doing a refurbishment, also a good idea to follow these thoughts of dry lining the walls, which will just offer you a very smooth and fine finish for a very, very, very long time. While here at Corso d'Italia, another huge success and another year's work during 2023. We're almost there. Electrician finishing a few things while the microcemento on the floor, it's drying and curing just before the resin goes over the top. So we're moving very slowly and very carefully. So soon, internal doors going in, kitchen going over there, everything else, it's finished and ready for delivery. This is another very big project happening here, where the AC units have been created up in the ceiling, and now it's really closing everything off. Yeah, I mean, sono qui, Raf. So we're just doing all the new electrics. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Situazione qua?
Ho spostato qua, dietro ho messo il collettore.
Quindi qua hai seguito il disegno della...
Sì.
E qua fuori ricordati che ti avevo chiesto un rubinetto pure però, eh? Sometimes refurbishing an entire house could be simpler than working with elements, but anyway, love the challenge. So once it's finished, we'll have the AC working for the entire property, and you can't sit, all you have is the vent. You'll have a new kitchen, everything is painted and decorated, and it will look absolutely stunning, giving a huge amount of comfort as well. And also a perfect timing when all of this is getting done to realign the entire electrical system, because in this particular case you had one cable going up and managing the entire house, which obviously today is unacceptable. So now we'll have a fuse board with all the areas that are completely independent. I've also just run cables to give electricity to the shutters, which at the moment they're manual. But I thought, well, why are you doing this? Even if you're not going to do it, but it's perfect timing to bring the cables in, chase it to the switch, and then if one day you want to put the motor in there, then you're not touching anything, you're not damaging the walls anymore. So always think ahead when you're doing things, because you know, after you finish everything, everything looks nice and you think, oh, if only, yes, if only. But for example, that little touch means that you may have the shutters, which they can be operated by Alexa, and you could just say, put the shutter down, and it just goes down, and you don't have to sort of get up and do things. So very important to think ahead. quickly stopped at the office. Just a full house there, so much happening. Beautiful to see the work happening in the office actually, but I'll go back later. I enjoy being at the office after 5 o'clock in the afternoon for 2 or 3 hours when everyone is gone or going, and then I really manage to focus. Does it happen to you that you function better? Because it's like every time I go in the office, it's like everybody is waiting to ask me a question, and I think, I can't concentrate. Now I'm on my way to Noha, a beautiful little town, to meet a client that would like to sell a property, and so I'm just going to go and see a property there in Noha, and I will probably take the opportunity to just quickly stop and have a coffee in the beautiful Noha Palace. Just looking at this property with the owners at the moment. It's quite interesting. We're in a little town called Noha. For any of you following the channel, you probably have seen the video walking through Noha. Nice little town with a huge amount of history, but it's nice to see how this one next door has been refurbished. Anyway, I couldn't leave before having a coffee here at one of my favorite places, which is Noha in the afternoon when everyone is asleep. But anyway, time to start working on this wonderful project in this little square. So meeting up with all the different elements, making it coming together. Also there is this beautiful room, so maybe if you watch this series week after week, you're probably going to see this beautiful property coming together. In fact, while we're here, I'd like to share with you this room. Why, when you are trying a key, the last one is always the one that works. This room, it was totally detached on the acquisition, and it will make a wonderful room right on the street level, and it's so big, and it's got a second entrance on the side, which we're not going to use it, but we're still going to create the light to come through. And then once the stone gets sacked and all the original stone gets exposed, maybe with a stone wall on the floor, it's just fantastic. An amazing bedroom with an ensuite bathroom. Almost like a little boutique room. Back here again, meeting with a carpenter. I think these doors and windows on the facade, they can't be of anything else apart from wood. Such a beautiful facade, so very important to keep the style and the look. Però così entra tutta l'acqua.
Così tutta l'acqua, per forza. Ma se chiave devi intrudere l'acqua,
ma se sono tondi puoi mettere le cerniere pure sui lati così, e così apra la centina, no?
Poi quello contro più dritto, quello entri uno e due vicine, qua non si lo dimentichi dove. E apro così.
Che queste non erano mai pensate con te nelle finestre, queste sicuramente prese d'aria solamente con circolo d'aria, no? Questi magazzini ammezzati. E questa forse è rettangolare, no, forse è lo stesso? Ah, è lo stesso, no?
Stessa cosa adesso.
L'altra cosa è fare tipo un profilato. Tu monti la finestra come sta così, però li monti un profilato qua e lo sigilli. E lo sigilli, questo lo sigilli a questo e l'acqua non può passare. Tipo una Z che entra qua dentro, capito? Però l'infisso lo facciamo tutta...
Non sarà niente, magari fermi l'acqua del pannante perché lo dai fuori. Ma l'acqua da 6 ronde qua è sempre da 6 ronde.
Non penso che teniamo tante altre alternative. Tuesday morning. What a day it was yesterday. Tuesday morning, just starting with a trip over to Corigliano d'Otranto to get some ideas of the potential work that needs to be done to a property that a client of ours has actually purchased remotely. Always beautiful to get outside and to be greeted with the sunshine and the blue sky. L'avevamo già vista insieme. So let's step inside. Entriamo. The level of history of some of these buildings is absolutely amazing. Anna Maria, my sister, showed it to a client, I think in December while I was traveling, and now I've just come to see potentially what can be done as a result of refurbishment, but all I can see is beauty when I look at that element of history there. A rooftop built in wood is a nice light structure. The castle just there in the background. I just absolutely adore this place. Absolutely stunning place. I mean, this area here with a set of stairs will connect to that room up there without a roof that we saw from upstairs. I mean, sometimes you really need to be fully immersed in this work to understand how can the space can come together. Sometimes it's 3, 4 little units all scattered, and how can you bring it together? How can you make the most of some of the rooms perhaps with less light towards light rooms with more light? So amazing viewing this morning. And hey, can I say, the history is just out of this world.
7-8 the square away Kubica.
Absolutely. Okay,
So
drop me a message in about an hour. All right, I'll speak to you then.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao for now. Yeah, I use every little bit of time that I have, even while I'm driving, to liaise with clients and just follow things through. It's just so much, and my mind is always buzzing with ideas, especially after just now I've seen a property and I'm already thinking, how am I going to split the space, how am I going to do this? But I'm just about to meet a client and I'll need to call this client, and what makes me feel really, really good is to know that I have a team that I can reach out to in the office, and a lot of the work it's happening and it's getting done the right way. I find it amazing because I park the car and then I bump into people that they work for the grid and they're connecting new water and sewer on another property, but I've known them so well now, and I just said to them, are you going to be in Corigliano later? I said, why, how do you know? Because I said, well, you're going to do a sewer connection there. So it's fantastic. Buongiorno. Here at Palazzo Bella, things are progressing so well. Those walls that had all those cuts and what are called the arteries of a house, plumbing, electrics, gas coming all the way through. Now they've been sealed closed, and so much plaster and sand and cement goes onto it. It gives that strength back to the wall, but also just brings the wall back. And same thing here. And when it comes to small environments like this, like the bathrooms, well, it's very important really to get them dead straight in view of tiling as well. So things are progressing really well here on site. It feels like almost like when the surgeon has finished and he's done the complicated work, in this particular case the plumber, the electrician, which they really need to do some complex things, then other people step on the scene and just close everything up. And although that part of the work is extremely important, but it doesn't affect the functionality of a house. So very important to get that part straight, making sure that you go through several times until you're 100% that plasters can go in and just close everything up and start making the house again beautiful and livable, and then you move away from that debris. So when I step on site on something like this, it is exciting, but not as exciting as when I'm seeing plumbing and electrics happening in a house. And now I'm going to cross over and go to the water, where I'm going to see a property that there's some work going on. It's actually a very special property. So I may share something with you, but in the meantime, I'm just going to enjoy the drive. And in the meantime, I'm also waiting for a work call coming from Singapore. Arrived. Now this is not going to be the source of material for one of my YouTube videos, but you may remember a small refurbishment on the ground floor here, which is part of 2 videos on YouTube. So close to the water. Now working upstairs.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno maestro.
Maestro.
Wow. And then after a couple of hours here, time to get to the office now. I've actually managed to do a video call, have a sandwich on the balcony. I tell you, it's so warm.
I was that. Yeah, I looked younger. Different hairstyle as well. Subscribe to 2025 and I'll see you every week on a Friday. Stay safe wherever you are.